Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Jay Britton. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about a mindset. You might be thinking to yourself, Jay, like, what are you talking about mindset? Well, we're talking about the mindset of from a employee's mindset to a CEO's mindset. Let's get into it. All right. So if you are new to this platform, to this podcast, I appreciate you. Make sure that you like, comment below, and let me know what stood out to you so we can have a conversation. Okay. So you've been working your 9 to 5 job. You're really great at it, but you feel a tug in your heart that there's something that I'm called to do. And you had an entrepreneurial, past to where you tried things, it didn't work out. And then eventually you got into your career, you excelled in your career, but that thing is still tugging on you. Well, there's a mindset shift that you have to just adapt to, like, or reconnect with. And that the mindset is you've been working in the employee implementer, maybe a manager or director level, maybe, you're vice president. And when you reach those levels this is what I hear from my client on a regular basis, that I hear those conversations. It's a high level view of what's going on. So you guys are directing, managing, you're shifting, you're communicating, right? One of the highest levels of authority or value is a communication, is imagination and communication, then it's managing the assets, and then this implementation. So you've been managing the managers or the implementer of the project. So it's time for you to, it might sound harsh, it might sound hard, but you have to think ground level now. You have to think in all 4 stages. You have to think about implementation. How is this project going to be met? Who's going to be doing it? And you yourself are, for the most part, probably starting out, having that CEO mindset. You have to go through those steps. I know you're used to telling people what to do, or suggesting, or directing, or leading a project. Well, you're going to have to take that shift. You have to be that, Swiss Army knife. If you're starting your side hustle, your side business, it's a mindset that needs to happen, and a shift that needs to happen in how you view things, because you've been leading from such a high level. Now it's time to come down to see how your processes are going to work for your business, what the implementers are going through on a daily basis. Like, you're going to have to get in the trenches. You're going to have to get your hands dirty. So, without a shadow of a doubt, what the processes should be. And then eventually, over time, once you scale your business, once you scale your team, you're going to know that the expectations are because you set them, you set the foundation. So it's a shift in a mindset that you have to start doing, because you've been delegating. Well, the roles are reversed. You have to go in to implement, to know and do the thing like the back of your hand, starting out, right? So then you can just hire and delegate people that are experts at what you don't like to do, and they could be great in their role in whatever business you might have, whether it's speaking, consulting, coaching, whatever it may be. So that is my tip for you guys to do it. Now, how can you do that? Well, you have to get with like-minded people, right? So here's the main points we want to make in this video. So we want to move from the execution to being the visionary. And I just spoke about knowing the thing, but in order for you to know where you're going, you have to kind of lay the foundation. Yeah, you can see it, right? You can see it and you can implement it, but you have to take time to, okay, how does this look for this implementer in this role, right? So you have to switch gears. You have to go from imagining the thing, knowing that you have a great track record, knowing you're great at coaching, speaking, course creation, whatever it is, but then you have to switch roles. Okay, now how does this look for this individual that's going to be implementing this task? So you have to constantly go back and forth in how you shift and how you look at your business, right? From a visionary standpoint. And then you have to reverse engineer. Okay, what is the end result experience that the individual is going to experience that is actually implementing it? And then you have to go a step further. How is the customer, how is the client going to receive what we're delivering? Right. So I have a big idea. I feel like I can serve this audience with these tools and resources and experience and expertise. Okay, boom. Let me shift gears. Now, how are they going to receive it from the implementer side? Because you're going to fire yourself eventually. You might start off doing the job, but eventually you'll hire someone for that role. You'll contract out people for that role. And then you also have to think about how is the client or the customer going to interact with this experience. So you have to wear three different hats: the CEO mindset, you have to wear a hat as the implementer or the employee mindset, and then you have to wear the hat as the customer client hat. How are they perceiving this tool resource? How are they going to look at it? How are they going to value it? So hopefully that makes sense. So, and here's some actionable steps though. So you guys heard me from time to time send out, 30 minutes per day or 45 minutes or an hour if you have that. At the most, you're doing this on the weekend. Maybe you got 1 or 2 hours you can work on your online business. So I would say start planning that stuff. And if you really are dedicated and have the time and bandwidth every day, make that priority. Write down your vision, write down, your goals, utilize those free resources like ChatGPT to help you get the framework, right? There's so many tools that you could use to help with, how you're looking at things, how you're planning out, being a CEO, and from different aspects, right? So use Asana. I love Asana. I use it literally every day. I use Asana for my personal life and for my business. I use Asana. I use ChatGPT. I use Google Calendars. I use all of these things to help me with my mindset, right? Here's a bonus. You're listening to this podcast, so it's helping to reinforce what God has already put in you. So listening to podcasts that are aligned with your goals, that's going to help the mindset. If you're reading or listening to audio books, that's going to help you, with marketing, with online business. All of those things are going to help you advance in whatever space you're in far as your mindset shift that needs to happen. So those are my tips for you guys today in shifting your mindset. You have to think like the CEO, you have to think like the employee, and you have to think like the client. You need to do some soul searching, right? And find out what resonates with me. What do I need in my business? How can I help as an affirmations in this morning? I need to write down my goals. I need to write down my vision. I need to execute this every day. I'm drastic like that, but I do this every day. I'm looking at my Asana every day. I'm looking at my to-do list. I'm prioritizing what needs to be done, what's going to move the needle, and then reorient as needed. So I'm not going to be too long on this video, but there's a shift that needs to happen, but you need to consume more of all of the things that's going to help you make that mindset shift. If you're on the fence, well, you need to go be around like-minded individuals. It says in the word where two or three are gathered, right? So when you're around people that think like you, or if you're thinking about joining a group, just join it. Just tap in with the resources that's going to feed you in your goals and what you're trying to accomplish. That's the only way you get there. Especially when you're having those down days. It's tough, it's rough. Home life is rough. The kids are acting up. You go to the community, you go to your affirmations, you go to the foundation, you feed your soul, you feed what you're, desiring, right? So CEO mindset, employee mindset, and have a client's mindset. What are they thinking? Think about them, how to serve them, and then feed yourself with, education, mastermind groups, free podcasts, YouTube. I'm on YouTube every day. I have my routine. I listen to the same people every day, and it keeps feeding me, and I keep growing in what God has given me. So I'll leave you guys on that note, but let me know, is it hard for you to make that shift? Right? Is it hard for you to commit to this? Are you suffering from imposter syndrome? What's going to help you take the next steps to mindset shift from employee to CEO, right? And then add that other one in there, think like a client. You need to tap into all three sectors. I'll see you guys on the next one.